Ini udah di
Iya, buat beda. Kalau buat ikatnya biasanya yang biasa ikat untuk
Itu ada kipas mau nyalain juga Pak.
berarti ini kan dulu. Saya itu nanti. Ya, juga. Ada yang tahu ya tadi. Ada lagi. I think kita boleh benda di kampung. Ya, ada di pemerintah di dalam and I think by not meeting people for many years, I mean, in maybe the one his driver again.
Kalau ada yang nanya-nanya, kalau ada yang
kok dekat ke sini ya kan? Lagi aja. Jauh.
Dia bisa taruh di sini aja.
Lu taruh aja.
Di sini.
Di berdua gua lu pusing gua.
Sorry, you can use for a mic.
Okay.
Gua bingung. Pada takut banget.
I've realised a long time ago that it doesn't matter what you put on the screen, it's just something you can turn on and stop people and move on to something else and break the when you haven't got anything, it sort of it looks professional even though it's no different. Because I don't, because you could, the other way is people put so much stuff in these PowerPoints, it's pretty meaningless. It's just like you might as well just give them a book to read. You just want something just to start the next conversation.
Just get the conversation.
Yeah. Which is the trouble with, you know, something like with question and answers that often.
Yeah.
So my mate, what we should try and do, it might, well, it will cost, but my mate Paul Williams went to see Matt Botchell, and you know Matt Botchell, so he does all the aerodynamics for all the pro cycling teams, and Blumenfeld. He was Tim Don's bike coach. I got to know him because I was doing the run coaching for Tim, and then Matt and I became good mates. It's like, and he's like saying, has Tim been in touch? No, he hasn't been in touch with me. So he's like, he's supposed to be my best mate. He's gone AWOL again. It's like, you know, anyway, he said, you know, to book in and see him when we're in England, and he's just taken 50 watts off this guy who I'm coaching. 50 watts saved him. He said, can see, he said I brought his back up, but that's actually got his head more aero. He's actually, rather than going flatter all the time, it's creating the aeroplane wing to get the airflow. And he said, and he just keeps saying, Mike, you've just got to come in. You know, I'm filling up with spots, but you know, you've got to book yourself in. So if we know when we're going, you know, get in, you know, half a day with him. He can. I'll see if I can find. So that's what he's doing now, and. He was the classic, just like, you know, your classic.
I assume you're also power like that.
Pardon?
I assume you're going to power like that as well, not so hunched over, yeah?
Yeah, well, you can. It's opening this angle of your hips as well. Ready to go? Should we start?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Pagi semua. Cukup nggak olahraganya? Apa mau olahraga dulu?
Makan ya, makan.
Oke, ini Mike bisa langsung mulai aja kali ya.
Okay.
Oke, Mike.
I probably don't need the microphone, but is it on?
Oh, you don't need one?
Can you hear me? You can hear me anyway. Okay.
Actually, I think that's for recording only.
Okay, for you. Okay, no problem. Yeah.
We don't have speakers.
Okay, so can you all see? So the last talk we had, we did a Q&A. I thought just have something to focus the attention instead of covering lots of things. Let's just focus on today. I want to just focus on running and just look at some pointers that might help you run more efficiently. So this is basically, I get a lot of questions saying, is running good for you? And the bottom line is, you know, but running, swimming, cycling, it's all good for us. It's just obviously I've done too much, got sick. There's too much of a good thing. So, and if we run well, it's good for us. If we run badly, it's bad for us. So people get injured often because they're making mistakes. But essentially, running is good for us. And if I can get my... So this is to get you jealous. This is New Zealand, this is Auckland. So that's the countryside of Auckland, just outside the city. So, beautiful landscape. The point of that slide is actually a girl running there. That running has been shown to help bone density. So, even if you think you're not doing very well and you're not going faster, it will help with your bone density and calcification, which will help you be fitter for longer in later life. So it's good, and it's been shown to be more beneficial for women than for men, actually, in giving them denser bones. So running is good. I put this one on because I was forwarded this. This man is a plastic surgeon from New York. And I'm not sure, I hope you can hear it, but have a listen to what he's saying. It's quite funny.
Hi, Dr. Ember. We're talking about things that prevent aging versus things that accelerate aging. I have a pet peeve, and half my patients love me for it and half my patients hate me for it, but it's about running. And it's perfectly fine to run a little bit every day or run a couple of miles a few times a week, but I want to start a little talk by saying, have you ever seen a long-distance, long-time runner that doesn't have a gaunt, old face? That's what happens. In addition to the gaunt, old face, your knees go, your ankles go, your back goes, and it's kind of dumb. So if you want to run a little bit, terrific, but no impact or low impact aerobics is really the way to get your exercise.
So there's a lot of misinformation, basically. So this guy is a plastic surgeon. He makes his money out of making people look pretty again. So you have to look for the sources where you get your information. So he's saying that he doesn't know any runners who've run for a long time that look fit and healthy. I have pneumonia and I'm 60 years old. I still think I look quite fit, even today, even though I'm ill. I've been running for 50 years. So don't read a lot of information that we get these days saying running is bad for us. Running is actually very good for us. And what you're doing, combining swimming, biking and running, is possibly the healthiest thing you can do because you're using all the muscle groups in the body. So it's very important that we keep running, but we need to work out how we're going to run correctly. I thought this also, having said that it's a bit slow, in fact I can't see the cursor very well. Having said that, I thought this was quite funny. When I was younger, I would have jumped straight across like the young boy. We do slow down, so you've got to be realistic. As we get older, we can't do what we used to do. So we have to always do the sport within our limits and know our limitations. And again, I'm a perfect example today that I thought my limitations were a bit further than they were. I got pneumonia. I went the same places that Steve's gone. He didn't get pneumonia. Therefore, my immune system was weak. I've been doing too much. So it's taught me, yeah, I was doing too much. So we just have to be careful and make sure that we're doing the sport to the right amount. We're not doing too much or too little.
How do we know it's the right amount?
Okay, that's a good question. And ask the questions as we come along, because we'll forget when we get back to. How do you know is if you can wake up on a morning without an alarm clock. Without an alarm clock.
If we can wake up without an alarm clock.
Without an alarm clock, means you're not doing too much. It means you've had the sleep you need, you're recovered and ready to go. I never use an alarm clock. A story was once we had to get a plane from Japan to England with my wife and I, and she said, look, you never have an alarm clock. I want you to have a good night's sleep. And I said, it's okay, I always wake up. And she put the alarm on, and so I didn't wake up. First time ever without an alarm clock. She forgot to start the alarm clock, and we woke up just as the plane was leaving. So I've gone back to my method of, I always just, like today, I had to get up at 4:45. I'm able to wake up. If you get enough sleep, you can do that. If you can just get out of bed and start going, that's one example. Another one is checking your pulse, your resting pulse. Is it higher, 10% higher than normal? So I know what my resting pulse is. It's a very simple, old way of testing it, and with Ben we actually test the variability of the heart rate, which is a bit more complex, but a simple way is just know what your heart rate is on the morning, and just, we all have monitors now, just have a look at it each morning before getting out of bed, and if it's 10% higher than normal, maybe you're doing too much. But if it's 10% higher than normal and you feel good, it's okay. But if it's 10% higher and you feel tired, it's not just one sign, it's lots of different things. Maybe 10% higher, you feel tired, and the legs ache. There's lots of warning signs. But I'm a coach, I missed them. I still did too much, so we can all make mistakes. And we say, you know, even a coach needs a coach. So, yeah, you've got to just constantly be trying to listen to your body all the time. Getting to bed at the same time every night is possibly the best thing as well. So I always try to go to bed at the same time. When we're traveling, it's not possible. A routine, get a simple routine. So, on the left, I couldn't jump across the cattle grid. Yes, I'm getting older, but it's not an excuse to say I can't do that anymore. I'm not going to do certain things. So, if we play this again, you can see there's certain activities that we need to do. Aerobic running, yes. Strength training is super important. Hill training for running, resistance training, and a little bit of sprinting. These are the basic movements we all need to be doing. And the older we get, the more important they are. It's been shown now that the best predictor of longevity, of living a long time, is muscle mass and aerobic function. The better you can get your aerobic function, and the bigger you get the puppies, the longer you will live. The reason is, it's not just about the size of the muscles, it means that can you just bend down and pick up things you need to do? Can you do what you need to do to live a normal life? And after the age of 40, you don't build any muscles naturally. They disappear 1% per year on average. So you can have lost over 20% of your muscle mass between 40 and 60. So you need to do strength training as well as swimming, biking and running. And the other thing you need is a little bit of speed work, sprinting. I'm always telling Ben with the training, we have to do some sprinting. And this gets the impulses from the brain to the feet quicker. And if we can send the electrical impulses down through running quicker, they go quicker when you're working. It just keeps the brain working quicker. Dancing is very good for keeping the brain quick. Sprinting is very good. Dancing is actually better than sprinting, but as we're runners, I figure it's better for us to, it's better that we sprint. Yeah, so that's why I do sprinting and not dancing. Yeah. And the less we do of these activities, the quicker we will get older and slower. So, this is my son actually, Tommy. So, just to show that consistency is the key. When I was young, I wasn't the best athlete in my class at school. Definitely wasn't the best in the town, whatever. But I kept showing up. And Tommy, he's still not the best at his age group. He's a coach and he's getting stronger. But each year he's getting stronger because he's consistent. And consistency and showing up will beat the most talented people in the world. If you can consistently and systematically train over a long period of time. So Steve was a crap triathlete when I met him, but he hasn't given up. No, just joking. But no, we weren't the best, but we probably worked the hardest, and the professional athletes that were better at that time have given up. They couldn't cope with getting slower, whereas we just actually enjoy doing it. We keep showing up because we enjoy it. So the point is, make the training enjoyable and you will keep showing up and being consistent. So the important thing, the message here is consistency. Keep practicing, keep going. This is a very important one. That's my dog. This is my... So she was she's third in Asia at CrossFit this year. She just came third in the CrossFit Open in Asia. And she's the, do you know Spartan races? Yeah. She's the New Zealand national champion at Spartan. She's stronger than I am. But she's just showing the elements. Okay. Hello. We just...
Yeah, you start from the beginning.
I show this one again. I'll start this slide again. You can watch this slide again. So, lots of easy running, strength and conditioning, 20% hard, and a little sprinting. Just turn this one off. 4 elements. So, lots of easy training, aerobic training, and again, I'm always with my training saying, low heart rate, keep it easy. The question I get asked by people, and it frustrates me actually, they say, what's easy? And I say, well, if it feels easy, it's easy. And they want to know, no, but what's easy on my heart rate? What's easy on my power meter? And it has to just feel easy, then it's easy. If it doesn't feel easy, it's not easy. It's that simple. People try and make training too complicated. If it feels easy, it's easy. 80% of your training should be easy. 20% hard. And then we can say what's hard. We can make it very complicated, but we can just say, if it hurts, it's hard. Like today was hard, so that goes down as some of your hard training. So tomorrow, you go easy. So you do 80% easy, 20% hard, and then my wife in there, we see in the gym, we need the strength as well. And sprinting. Final one. Oops, I'll go back. That's basically training summed up. I could write a book on each element separately, but if I want to tell anyone how to train for any sport, that's the simple guideline. An endurance sport of over 2 minutes of racing and beyond, you need aerobic function, 80% aerobic, you need 20% hard work, and the simple way of doing that is by dividing the sessions up, 80-20. And then you need to add in some strength and conditioning, you need to go to the gym and get strong, because unfortunately you don't develop on cycling. When we're trying to get a good cycling, the quickest way to get good at cycling is to go to the gym and do the leg press, because that's the cycling action. And you just need to do the movement a little bit beyond 5 degrees more than you need on the back. The leg press has been shown that no good cyclist is weak on the leg press. You have weightlifters that are good at leg press that cannot cycle, but no good cyclist cannot do leg press, okay? If you don't do leg press, you can get weights and you can do deadlifts. Deadlifts another good one.
What happens if you have like a pain at your back? Is there any other way?
If you have back pain, I've had a hernia removed from my back. There are limitations. You have to work on the limitations. You can actually do fixed leg curls and hamstring curls. You can isolate those muscles. What we want is we want hinge movements if we can, where more than one muscle group and joint are working at the same time. But when you're fixing it, it's not as effective. But you have to work with what you have. If you can't do something, you can't do something. The other way is if you can get a big gear on the bike. Again, that's quite effective. So it's called functional strength work. So another way that if you're short of time, that is almost as good, instead of going to the gym, you can do running uphill to create the strength. You can do, now on Zwift, we can put it in a big gear and simulate a hill and do some slow cadence, 50 to 60 revs, get into a neutral position with the back so that you're not making the spine worse. And you can, it's quite good. And that's functional strength work. So, there are only 3 ways to run faster. Who can tell me the 3 ways to run faster? What are the 3 ways to run faster? Higher cadence, longer stride,
Sleep well.
Minor downhill.
Sleep well.
combination, higher cadence and So the 3 ways are: you make your stride quicker while keeping the stride length the same, or you keep the stride length the same, the stride length longer and the cadence the same, or you do both. So the ultimate is a faster cadence and a longer stride. So that's the ultimate. That's the theory. That's all there is to running. So if people say, how do I run quicker? We say, well, turn your legs over quicker, make your stride longer. The theory is very simple. So increase stride length, increase leg speed, increase both. So let's be a bit more specific of how we do that. Okay? So, target cadence. What cadence, that's the leg speed, what cadence are we looking for in running?
180.
Yes, do you know why 180 is, why does people say 180? Okay. A very clever man at Harvard University called Dan Lieberman studied muscle elasticity in humans with shoes, without shoes, all around the world, and found out that our muscles have an elasticity. And this is called elastic recoil. And if we land, the muscles and the tendons contract, and like a spring, they push back. But like any spring, if you're too slow, the energy disappears. And 3 times a second has been shown to be about the most efficient. And so that's where the research came from, and they found out that people, but quicker than that is also efficient, works efficiently. Slower than that, it's less efficient. And for every drop in cadence under 180, there's usually about a 1% increase in injury. And so research, he's also shown research, the slower your cadence, the more likely you are to get a stress-related injury. So people often say, oh, I'm tall, I have a low cadence. I don't care. If you can get your cadence a little bit higher than now, you have less chance of getting injured. Kipchoge, when he broke the marathon world record, what was his cadence? 195 for the marathon. So you can't say, oh, it's okay for short distance. Mo Farah, when he won the Olympic 10,000 meters. No, 190. Because on the track you need a really strong, long stride length. So you look at his stride, it's huge. Plus 190, it's phenomenal. 190. And the stride length is like 190 cadence. Really long stride length.
What is yours?
So my cadence racing is between 180 and 185. But as I've got older, my stride length is getting shorter. So I accept the reality is I'm getting slower, and that's the reality of life. I'm just trying to slow that time down so that I get slower than other people my age. So therefore I'm quicker than other people. So, but I keep the cadence the same because the cadence is what's stopping me from getting injured. And I focus always on keeping a nice springy cadence. Okay? And that's something we need to work on.
How can you increase your cadence?
So what you to increase? Okay, so if you want to get an experiment, I'll show you. Stand on your feet and just run on the spot. Run on the spot now. And swing your arms, and swing your arms slowly. Now swing your arms very fast. What happens to your cadence? It goes up. So if you want to raise your cadence, the quickest way to raise cadence is to swing your arms. But if you swing your arms, your legs follow your arms. If you swing your arms fast and long, your stride length also goes long. So what people do wrong, they say, I get so tired when I raise my cadence. They also raise their stride length. If you raise cadence, you must shorten stride length to use the same energy, or you will use more energy. It's simple physics. If you go with a quicker cadence and a quicker stride length, you go quicker. If you go quicker, you use more energy. So when you increase cadence, you must shorten stride length. Increase cadence. Or your heart rate will go up, up, up. Yeah. And one thing, when you change something, it's not a natural action initially, a change, your body is not used to it. Your heart rate will always go up initially when you change something. So people say, oh, I was told if I do a higher cadence, I'll have a lower heart rate. Yes, after a few weeks your heart rate will come down, but when you change anything, do you all swim?
Yeah.
And then they say, don't do this with your stroke, do this. And you do that and you're so tired, it's because it's all new. But when you become good at catching the water better, your heart rate goes down and you go quicker. Same with running. When you change something, it will be harder at first. And most people give up. They just go back to how they were because, that feels better. You become efficient at being inefficient. Yeah. Oh. Here we go. Okay. Here's another good one. We'll play that one first. Maybe I'll listen to it quickly. So, should you run by heart rate or pace? Who wants to answer that one?
Heart rate.
Why?
It shows your body tells you, tells your body condition.
Okay. I just want you to think. So, aerobic function when we're in base training, heart rate or effort. So perceived effort is the same. I prefer to run by effort, by feeling. It feels easy, yes. That's heart rate really. We're just running easy, the heart rate's low, it's easy. But when you're racing, I don't care what your heart rate is. We go by pace, speed. So people must understand the difference. When you're in a race, don't look at the heart rate. Just, you have to go as quick as you can. It's all about pace. So you divide, now it gets more complicated. When you start training, we need a piece of work where just training to heart rate or effort, it's easy and you're going slow. If you have a 10k race and you want to run under 45 minutes, you have to run lots of kilometers at 4 minutes to pace. Otherwise you can't do it. So I don't mind what the heart rate is when I'm doing that training. Hit that pace, get the body used to that pace. So you need to differentiate when you're training. Sometimes we train by heart rate, sometimes by pace. Oops, what's happened there? There is no answer below. I took this off my Instagram feed, so it's, you don't get it. The slides are just to remind me of the topics to talk about and give us something to focus on. These are all just from my Instagram feed, that the sort of topics I discuss. So, how do you lower your heart rate while running? I get asked this a lot. Oh, I want to lower my heart rate when I'm running. There's only one way to do. Only one way to do it. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. People don't want to hear that though. They say, "Oh, my heart rate's too high. My heart rate's too high. How do I get a lower heart rate when I run?" To go slower. That's the only way you can do it. And when you accept that, you'll start to progress. And the best way really is to run and walk. Run, walk. So the whole reason of this is to develop the heart that can then develop the aerobic function that helps you increase your mitochondria and your capillary development. All this biological change inside happens when the heart is working at a little bit stressed, but not too much, which is the aerobic zone that we want. And if it goes too high, this development doesn't take place. So it doesn't matter if you're running or walking. If the heart rate is elevated, you're getting benefit. So a lot of people refuse to walk in a run. They think it's lazy, it's not good. Yet they'll go to a track and they'll do an interval and they'll stop and rest and do another interval and stop and rest. That's okay. But when they're on a run out in the streets, they won't stop. They think, oh, I've got to keep running. So I see this all the time on the track. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing a 400. Now I have to wait for 2 minutes and go again. But out on the road, they feel they have to keep running. The heart has no idea what you're doing. It just knows how fast it's working and for how long.
But when you do a long run, walk, run and stop. Is that when you...
Well, that's exactly what I want you to learn to do. If you need to do that, you do that. I do that.
It's only, say, if you've got a big hill and your heart rate gets too high,
or you're getting tired. Another reason. Exactly. There's times when you might want to. So, for example, if you've been injured and you want to do a 20-kilometer run, and you're not strong enough to, you could run 1 kilometer, walk 200 meters, run another kilometer, walk, and it's amazing how far you can go before getting tired. These micro rests have been proven to lengthen the time to exhaustion, to fatigue, by double. So, for example, I'm going to come back from this pneumonia. I will be doing run walking to get fit again. I'll run a bit, I'll walk a bit. I'll run a bit, I'll walk a bit. And it allows you to extend the time to fatigue. It keeps the heart rate in the right zone, reduces the risk of injury.
I remember Captain non-stop. Oh man, I'm running, man. Even though my heart rate is high.
Okay, thanks for coming anyway. Thank you.
It is stress running with Captain.
So the thing there, to lower the heart rate, I'll go into the countryside and just run a kilometer, walk 100 meters, run and walk.
So just on that, so what I'm looking for in someone's training plan in their base phase, 8 to 12 weeks base week, on their long run, I'm looking for ideally same pace, lower heart rate at the end of the 8 to 12 weeks, not faster pace. And all the time it's the same frustration for the coach. People go, "Oh, I ran it faster this week than last week."
Oh.
I don't care. I don't care. And there's still, during the base phase, there's still a little bit of fast work, and then after the 8 to 12 weeks, when the body is still very healthy because it hasn't been stressed that much, and the aerobic system is very strong, and the mitochondria are strong, and the aerobic enzymes are flying around the body, then we really start to 6 to 10 at the most weeks of threshold and speed work. But if they use it all up during the base phase and just try and get faster and faster during the base phase, then we're not in good condition to be able to start the speed work.
So we've discussed this, what is the 80-20 rule, how to use it to run faster, so we can skip that one. So, lack of motivation or injuries. This is just this is me about 100 meters from my house. It was a rainy, cold day, and it's just like, no. So everyone has a bad day. What you do, some days you don't want to train. I always get my athletes to go, put their clothes on and start training. Then if you still don't want to train, it's okay to stop. Because often it's just the brain saying you don't want to train, but when you start, it's okay. But so there I started training, I just thought, I don't like this. So I stopped. Most of it, well, we all enjoy endurance sports, that's why we're here. So you all have the possibility of doing too much. So if you wake up one day and don't want to do it, it's not laziness. You tell yourself it's laziness. It's your body telling you there's something wrong. And it's okay. Missing one day doesn't matter. But if you're injured, this is what I'm strict with. Being injured, you don't stop training. Being ill, yes, you stop training. And so I now haven't trained for a week. And I keep thinking, what would I tell my athlete? I'd tell them to rest up. Yes, part of me thinks I've got to get back to training, I'm losing fitness, but actually my brain knows that the quicker I get healthy and strong, I might start off slower, but I'll take off quicker. I might do too much training now and start off well, but I'm not getting any quicker. It's not. So if you're injured though, you don't stop training, you find another way to train. If you can't run, can you ride a bike? If you can't run and ride a bike, can you swim? So I broke my wrist. When Ben was in New Zealand, I broke my wrist, and I had some rods taken out of my leg. So I couldn't use this leg or this arm. I still found a machine at the gym where I could do one arm and one leg. Okay? And I did that every day. And I'm not joking.
After you recover, is it your muscle?
No, when you went there after when I had the operation on my leg. When I had the rods out of my leg, I couldn't use this leg for a couple of weeks, so I had to do this.
How you compensate the imbalance your muscle when you recover? Your muscle
Okay, yeah.
stronger than
So the left leg is stronger than the right leg, yes.
yeah, when it's recovered.
So what you do is you do weight training and you lower the resistance on the left leg to the right leg, and then as this gets stronger, you build up.
So you need to know this leg is.
Yeah, and so you need you need to work with a professional. So things like this is not something you can do yourself. So even though I'm a coach, and we've got Steve and he's top coach and things, I still go to a physiotherapist, and I have a surgeon telling me one thing, a physiotherapist telling me one thing, I'm very lucky, I have access to lots of people. Then we think and decide the best thing to do. It's not a science, it's not 100% correct. And so I've got good at getting over injuries quick. In fact, I'm probably the two of us, we're probably two of the best in the world at learning how to get over injuries, how to stay fit. So, when you think that I've broken a wrist and had the rods out of my leg, and was meant to be doing an Ironman next week, I didn't think pneumonia would take me out. I thought the wrist. So cross training is super important to keep the aerobic function. If you keep the aerobic function there and some muscular movement, you will come back quickly. But if you're sick, you rest. End of story.
So 20% of my coaching time is sorting out injuries or illness.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's a nice place to swim.
Yeah.
New Zealand?
Well, you know that. Where's that? Where's Natasha swimming?
It's a lake.
It's somewhere in New Zealand, yeah. But there's so many good places to swim in New Zealand. It's like 100 meters from my house is a good place to swim.
Yeah, we have a very nice lake too. Maybe Ben and you can try.
With a crocodile.
Adanya speedboat. It's a crocodile.
So, a couple of questions. This is probably the most common question I get asked from Southeast Asia. I don't know why it is in Asia, but people keep telling me, "Oh, running's bad for the knees." I get asked this a lot. Is running bad for your knees? So no, running's not bad for the knees. Just bad running is bad for your knees. Bad form. But for me, hill running is the basis of all my running. It builds up the strength, and there's very little shock on the system. So on the flat, we'll just play this.
So we have no option after that. We need to use treadmill.
This is, I would say, about 25% gradient, this hill. I can't even keep up with the girl here. Getting old.
is that girl? Your wife?
No, she's that, Rachel. That's it. Rachel. Yeah, she's a lawyer. She's a lawyer actually. Very
Rachel,
clever.
That's Rachel.
Very clever girl.
She's very competitive.
No, she's
So,
fast.
on the flat, 2.5 times your body weight goes through your joints. Downhill, it's 7 times. Uphill, 0.7. So uphill, there's very little chance of getting injured running uphill. So I do a lot of my running uphill now because I'm getting older, I get injured. It's easy to get injured as you get older, trying to stay fit. So I transfer a lot of my running to uphill running. It's also harder, it builds up the muscular strength.
No, for us, it's not easy for us to find a hill like that. So
But-
we do it on the track.
Yeah, treadmills, it's good, it's better than nothing.
Sentuh.
Yeah, very far.
Do it that big. They have the long bridge. You can do it. Welcome.
No, it's not so big.
You're going down the short. 7 times.
So what I did was about 8 years ago now, I had a disc removed from my back. It exploded. It was so basically they took the disc out, and to come back, it was too painful to walk on the flat. So I started off by walking upstairs, and we lived in a 13-story building. So I walked up all the stories, went into the elevator, went down, walked up, elevator down, and then bit by bit I would run a little bit, walk, run a little bit, walk, run a little, elevator down, and I did that.
You get permission to go upstairs.
Who can stop you? Yeah, no one can stop you. It's
Okay. Because sometimes when we running in the uphill in the parking lot.
yeah. But it was the building that we live in. The building we live in. So you could just say, "I'm going home." They couldn't stop you. And also, being a foreigner in Japan, I think they don't know what to say to you. They just look, strange man. Yeah. But if you don't mind people looking and thinking you're strange, you can try running in car parks. You don't need much of a hill. You just need some hill to work on. I went to Singapore on the way here, and there's a hill that's 250 meters long, and the trail runners just do 100 times up there because there's no trails. I mean, it's not 250 high, just long. That's it. They just go up, down, up, down. Yeah. So we don't need, this is for beginners. What was this one?
Is Rachel mixed Asian? Because she looks Asian.
Oh no, that's fine.
The mom is Asian.
Clips of a race day might be worthwhile. Okay, why you should smile during a race. It's just a simple one, but Stanford University did some research, and they just found that actually smiling, it actually puts a hormone release in that puts you in a more relaxed and a happier position, reduces stress, and
Also make your heart rate lower, your heart down, and so because you smile, you're happy.
I don't think you can reduce the heart rate, but it can reduce the stress you're under, and whether it works or not, it's not been shown as a negative. It doesn't slow you down. So often we say, on race day, smile.
But your competitor heart rate will increase.
Like when I see you, man, of course my heart rate will go up, man.
Relax. Okay, so smiling actually relaxes you. When you're running, are your fists clenched?
Yeah.
Are your shoulders tense? So often in a marathon, when I'm running, you get the first 10 kilometers done. Then I'll do a mental check helps me pass the time. I'll get my split for the kilometre. Okay, I'm on target. Are my shoulders relaxed? Is my breathing good? Is my stomach tense? Are my hands tense? And I'll go through all these checks. How's my stride? Am I overstriding? Is my cadence good? Am I looking down? Am I looking up? And then it's the next kilometre. Okay, time is still good. Am I relaxed? Is it time to drink? I constantly, in a race like a marathon, I'm talking to myself all the time. Can I relax my arms a little bit more? Am I thirsty? But you do these mental checks. If you don't know how to do them, video yourself. And do you look tense? You look, and what you feel and what you see, you say, oh, that's not me. You get on a treadmill and just put a camera at one side, film yourself running, and then see if you look relaxed. Then relax more and video yourself again. And do I look better? The simple ways of checking. This is just something, yeah. So this is just a Nova Blast, but actually you have one of my favourite shoes on today, the Metaspeed Edge. You have the Sky. I have both. I've got the Metaspeed Sky and the Metaspeed Edge, and I can't tell the difference between them. And I test so many running shoes for a living. It's very good marketing, but they're both very good shoes. And this is just showing about so look at 64 centimeters. Look at this.
Because of carbon plate.
Not just the carbon plate, it's the Pebax foam. So Pebax is the generic name. They call it flight foam, but everyone just puts their own name on to make it sound different. It's all the same. It's Pebax. 96 centimeters extra. So that's if you want something for race day. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you go to Japan and buy
64. I put that on Instagram and it got something like 3 million views. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just I thought last time we did quick Q&A, it's easier to focus our attention to have a few pointers to look at. Yeah, if you've got any questions, Steve or I were happy to answer them.
the video last video you show us, it's affect your stride or your cadence, the shoes.
The shoes will affect your stride length, because what they're doing is it's a trampoline, it's a spring effect, sending forward. But with Pebax, it's most effective, and I keep telling Ben this, the very first time you wear it is the most effective time. The second time, it's diminishing returns. Every time you use it, it loses a little bit of spring. So the third time is not as good, the fourth time less. They say you can get about 500 kilometers out of a pair, but what that means is the 500th kilometer will be much slower than the first kilometer. So I always put on a brand new pair of shoes for my most important race.
But when people say if you put a brand new shoes, you need to break in the shoes.
Why?
I don't know.
Why do you need to break in the shoes?
To make sure your feet suit in to the shoes.
So if you wear the same shoes, it's the same fit for the shoes. You only need to check shoes to check if they fit your feet. But if you get the same size off the same mold, it's exactly the same as the other shoes. Yeah.
You send me your pair.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
And one,
So-
for race.
so-
For the race.
I actually now have maybe I'm now down to, but so actually I get a lot of mileage because now I have the new ones I race with on the big race. Then we have things like what we call a park run every week in New Zealand. It's a fun, free run that I want to run quite quickly. So I have the race day shoes, I've worn those, they then become a park run shoe. Once that park run shoe's been used enough, it just becomes a running shoe, and then it becomes a going to the shop shoe and just walking around. And so they all go down the line and end up with a lot of mileage. But initially the investment to get the setup is expensive, but over time it works. It's a nice, efficient system. Yeah.
I used to have a VO2 max 54, but June last year I got COVID and it went down to 48, and now just 49. So how can I increase my VO2 max?
The trouble is, you're probably measuring it with a Garmin.
Yes.
So to get higher VO2 max on Garmin, you have to do intervals, which is nothing to do with your VO2 max. It's to do with mathematical algorithm that Garmin use. So I did, before coming here, just a long-winded answer to your question. I did a 33-kilometer run before coming here. And because my heart rate was low, because I was super fit, Garmin reduced my VO2 max and said I was detraining. So the algorithm is set up for track runners to run at a certain speed. So don't worry about what Garmin says. What you should be looking at is, can I train at a lower heart rate now than I could a month ago at the same speed? So maybe you have a run, and I've given this to Ben. We have a set speed, a set on the treadmill. He has a speed on the treadmill and a gradient on the treadmill, and I get him to run on there, and we know what his heart rate should be, and if it's higher than that, he's not as fit as he should be, and we need to get it back there. So maybe you have a run that you set yourself as a test once a month and just see what your heart rate is doing. And that's where a treadmill is good. I don't like treadmills, but they have a good place at times. You can set a speed, a scientific test, run on it, and check your heart rate. And once a month, know if it's getting lower at that speed, you're doing the right things. If it's going higher, you're doing something wrong. No. Because when you race, you won't be racing anywhere near your VO2 max. And there's very little you can do apart from this training routine to get it back. So even getting a test and showing what it is won't change your fitness, and the only way to solve it is by going back and doing aerobic training, because aerobic training will build the mitochondria and the capillaries, which will develop the lungs and make them bigger and help the aerobic function, which will create a better VO2 max. Yeah. So the problem with Garmin is they make a lot of people think they're fitter than they are, and a lot of fit people think they're less fit than they are.
You know, for endurance athletes or like us age groupers, there is this thing called bradycardia. It means your
Brachycardia. I've got brachycardia.
Yeah, I know. The other day the doctor says you have.
Mm-hmm.
And if I check.
Brachycardia just means a heart rate below 60. That's all it means.
Below 60, exactly.
That's all it means.
No, but he says that the heart is also enlarged.
Yeah. Well, if you do sports, your heart if you work in his garden, your biceps become enlarged because you're lifting rocks. Okay. If you ride a bike, your quadriceps get bigger. If you train, your heart gets bigger because it's a muscle.
How much bigger than normal?
Well, the bigger the heart, the better. I've got probably the biggest heart in the world. I'm not joking. I probably have one of the biggest hearts in the world. My heart rate is 30 at rest. Yeah. Yeah. It's a muscle. 30. Yeah. A heart is a muscle like anything else. So the trouble is that doctors are not sports people. They look at it and say, oh, you need to get fitter. Oh, but you can't get a bigger heart. So how can I produce more oxygen, get more oxygen to my muscles with a small heart? It's like having a car engine. Your car engine is 1.6 litres and you want to go faster. The garage said, well, we can make the engine, we can add some cylinders on, make the engine bigger, it'll go faster. Same with the heart. It has to get bigger to go quicker.
So it's actually alright for the heart to get bigger.
Yes. Yes. What is not good is for you to be obese and the heart not be able to function and get bigger. That's a totally different big heart. So a big heart that's struggling to beat because it's blocked. So what happens is it's blocked, the arteries are slightly blocked, it's under stress, so it has to work harder. It's working harder to pump the blood, then it gets bigger. That's totally different from you training your heart and your brain saying, well, let's make this engine a bit more powerful.
So the heart is just like
it's a muscular pump.
It will increase in size as you exercise.
Yes, and it'll decrease in size as you de-exercise. It will get bigger and it can get smaller.
But the frustration is that doctors now are only just realising this. You know, so the doctor we had yesterday was really good. He said, look, this would normally be quite a big problem, but you've already told me, explained he's an athlete and his resting heart rate is normally below 30. So I look at this information, but I say it's not an enlarged heart problem, it's an athlete's heart.
A sportsman's heart.
A sportsman's heart, you know. But then I've still had athletes after a race and then they go to the doctor and says, enlarged heart, there's a big problem. And they have to stay in the hospital for 2 days and there's no problem at all, you know. So
in New Zealand, because I have my operations in New Zealand, they keep me in the hospital because they're so worried they get sued.
Yeah.
You know, even yes, anyway.
Yeah, there's a doctor in Singapore that was telling me also, you know, athletes normally have enlarged heart and it's not so good.
Yeah.
That's why.
But actually it's okay because it's normal. Like you said, if you train, then the muscles will grow.
When you have a big muscle, is it a problem? You say, when I have a big muscle, is it a problem? You say,
that time I
can be with my muscle.
I think the problem is that medical profession scare people.
Yes.
When they're scared people.
Yeah. But research, going back to the start, research, the more muscles you have and the better aerobic function, the longer you live. Unless you get hit with a bus. Or eaten by a shark. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we hear that.
No, it's because of the new shoes.
You see, the second part just now when he ran so much faster than everybody. Why is that?
It's the new
You should.
No, because he's cycling slower.
Yeah,
like that. And then when the last time, I scared everybody.
Yeah.
It's the captain then this time.
And he was telling me that I don't ride a bike for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I cannot catch my breath. Like that.
I didn't know how to speak for that.
Classic old style.
We did
It's called a ringer.
8 by 300, 350.
I've been golfing a lot. So
And then by 25K. And then we did again 8 by 350 in 90 seconds. So
Enjoyable, yeah?
enjoyable. Can do it again.
Last time when I ran with coach,
Do something like this.
Painful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you recommend something like that? We do. How often we recommend we do something like what we did today? Maybe extend the bike.
No, that's in race season when you're preparing for a race. It's not something to do all year round. So I tend to find that session, I can cope with maybe 6 weeks, a maximum of 10.
Once a week.
Once a week for the maximum, depending on how the race season is, but I can't do that more than 10 times in a year.
Last time, what I did was warm up, and then 4x400.
Yeah. Then ride the bike.
Loop, yeah.
4x400.
4 times. So is it different? What's the difference between this one? This time you only do it twice, but more times, more frequency.
Okay, so this one is more focused on the running and the bike. The other one is more focused on just overall fatigue and transitioning from bike to run. But it's the difference. I think you couldn't quantify the difference between the two sessions. Again, it's just, if you give someone the same session every week, they'll get bored. So it's nice to vary. So it's basically, the standard session is 4x400 meters, 6x1 kilometer sprints on the bike, 4x400, 6x1 kilometer sprints on the bike, 4x400. And it's a real young man's one for a sprint distance or an Olympic distance. It's or a duathlon. It's to really get your leg speed quick off the bike. Can you join it? It's just it's actually a union to join. Then I thought it was like the.
No, you just do the race.
Do the race. Oh, but yeah, I mean join the race. Yeah, join the race. I said yeah.
It's gonna be a nice swim though.
Where will it be?
The swim is gonna be behind the hotel, Marina Bay Hotel.
Okay.
This is the first time they let people swim.
Will it be clean?
Yeah,
it's good.
The river has been clean for probably like 10+ years.
Okay, good. Okay. Wow.
Should be sweet.
Oh wow. When is it?
Patrick, when is PTO? Next month.
August.
19th of August.
19th.
Good luck there.
2 months from now.
Program well.
What's the distance?
The long distance one.
280. Okay.
What is the swim? The swim is
2K. 280. Yeah.
Yeah, 280. Give me a moment.
It's good.
It's a biker's format.
Less than half.
Oh no, yeah.
So the bike is going to be around the Formula 1 track, right?
They haven't told us about the driver on the cockpit.
Okay.
I guess it's going to be on the...
Okay. No, okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to have... I brought you a whiskey. We're going to have whiskey.
Yeah, me too, man.
Can I have a look at one of the saddles?
Sorry?
Can I have a look at one of these saddles? Are they comfortable? Yeah.
I think for PT bike.
They're a bit uncomfortable, shoot, no?
No, not this one. This one. I think this is for TT. Well, they said it's for TT, but I'm not sure whether.
I'd be okay. Short distance, yeah.
Depending on the road.
Yeah.
They're really light.
Yeah.
This one is one of the lightest. Now, this both are for TT and road bike.
Imagine, it wouldn't last long in New Zealand or the roads in New Zealand,
Yeah,
but
the road is very bumpy. Same as Australia.
Yeah.
Super light though, yeah?
Yeah.
I think the lightest is like...
the right seat though.
If you got the right, I was just thinking, the right, just a bit of padding in there.
Hello, everybody.
is a New Balance collection. Oh yeah. Which is we have one set only for you. You are the first person who sees this exam, and it's going to be available in early July. But if you like, you have to do a pre-order. Okay. Now, the good of this New Balance is it's fitting the Asian fit, and also if you have prescription, we've got this as a clip-on, so you can actually wear it.
Clip-on.
Okay. If you have a progressive, it can also fit with this. Now, for this, if you like, today we are offering a 20% discount plus whatever the transaction you get the waistband, especially from New Balance. This is a new one. With,
Nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I can see it. Nice.
So feel free.
I like them at the top on. I just find that when I'm in a TT position, I can't see bugger all. That's why I like those. You know the Oakleys I've got?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no room on the top. Yeah, these
You
are
can
good.
take the glasses out.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
How do you clip them out?
Today, if you buy, you get special price, right? Yeah, you get special today.
I hate it, Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I want for riding. Yeah.
Terima kasih.
Yeah, these are perfect though.
They make great.
Yeah.
How much are they, my crew?
$200.
First viewing.
Really good.
Dari berapa? Ini harganya sih. Oh, harganya ya. Sorry. Diskon 20 ya. Kalau yang bisa
on the way down, but strengthening the feet and the lower leg muscles, and then going uphill. And you can get very strong at running just from doing that. So I broke my leg last year. In July I started going up and down a hill, and I didn't start running on the flat until September.
Okay.
In October I ran sub 4 hours at Kona in the marathon, all just from going up and down a hill, because I got strong, but I got fast cycling. My aerobic function was good from the cycling. My muscles got strong just going up and down the hill.
You strengthen your
So
muscle by
you,
the hill?
yeah, but cardio by the bike.
By bike.
Yeah.
I see.
So you don't need to do a lot of running so long as you're doing up and down a hill strength work.
How long actually when we do that?
Well, I started just 5 minutes. At the end, I was doing an hour a time.
All right. So start slow.
Start slow and building. But also getting the stretching. I want to help with stretching.
Is it yoga is very good for us as a runner, cyclist?
Yoga is good if you enjoy doing it.
I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah, so I don't do yoga because I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I really don't enjoy it.
And you need to enjoy what you're doing. There's a lot of endurance athletes it just seems to ache and hurt, and I just don't relax, and I don't recommend it if people aren't enjoying it.
But if you can enjoy it, it's really good. It's benefit us, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I think they're the same ones. It's just that the color.
Thank you.
Sure. This is